Hi there. Welcome to a special edition of PA Wilderness Skills. For this episode, I took the show on the road. Now you might be able to tell from the background that this isn't usually what you see in my videos when I shoot them in Pennsylvania. And that's because we're currently in the Black Hills National Forest near Spearfish, South Dakota. As you can see, it's got some great scenery here in the canyon. We don't have anything really like that back in Pennsylvania. So while I was here, what I thought I would do is shoot a video. And then, so I started thinking about what kind of video. I thought, what would be better than the Black Hills Bowdrill fire? So now for this video, I didn't bring anything from home except for my old hickory and the number 36 bank line that I used for the Bowdrill fire. Other than that, everything else I used, I found here in the Black Hills National Forest in Spearfish, South Dakota. So, to me, one of the most important things about your Bowdrill fire is the bearing block. If you have a good bearing block, it makes it a lot easier to do your fire. Now, like I said though, I didn't bring anything with me from home, so I was going to have to look around here and try to find something I could use as a bearing block. Now, I've heard people talk about using, finding some stones with a divot in it or, a nice groove, and they were able to use that as a bearing block. I've never had any luck finding a rock like that, but I thought maybe here in South Dakota I'd find something different. I found a couple of rocks, and I kept a hold of them, but I wasn't real happy with the way they looked and their shape, and I didn't really think they'd work very well. Well, then a couple of days ago, I was out scouting for a place to shoot this video, and much to my enjoyment, and my wife's, I'm sure, when she opened the back of her car and found it, but I came across a rotting deer carcass, and in that deer carcass was a hip bone. This hip bone had a nice ball joint in it, and I thought that would probably work really well to use this as the bearing block from the Bowdrill fire. And I also want to prove to my wife that yes, it was stinky, but it was worth it to keep it for 2 days. And now the other thing is the wood that I've been using for my Bowdrill fire. I found a dead aspen tree up here, and I cut a limb off of that, and that's what I'm using for the Bowdrill fire. So you can see I already burned it in, I already have my spindle made, and I already have my notch cut. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of cut away, and I'm going to tell you what I'm going to use as my tinder bundle. So one of my big concerns when I decided to do this video, and I started looking around at the resources that there were out here, was a tinder bundle. Now I didn't want to just make an ember with Bowdrill fire, show you the ember, and that be the end of it. I wanted to actually get it into a flame for you. And so I was looking around, and back home I would grab some bark off of a tulip poplar or some inner bark from a chestnut oak, rub that up, make that into some real fine material and use that as a tinder bundle. I started looking around out here, and there wasn't anything like that. So what I found was this. Hopefully you can see that in the background. It is just covered on these trees, on these pine trees behind me. This is old man's beard, and it's grows on these limbs, and it's very dry material, and it should work great as a tinder bundle. So this is worked out in two different things. Number one, I found the material, so I was able to make a tinder bundle here, so I'll be able to show you that after we get our ember. And number two, I always wanted to try old man's beard as a tinder material to make a fire. We don't have this in Pennsylvania, so worked out pretty well for everybody here, and hopefully we'll get a fire going with this. So now you've seen all the materials that I'm going to use from a Bowdrill fire. So I'm going to reposition the camera here down on the ground, and we're going to give it a shot. So stay tuned. Okay, here we go. We're going to give it a try. Oh, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lubricate my end that's going to go in my bearing block a little bit. Some people, dig the wax out of their ears or use chapstick or things like that. Another thing you can do, especially if it's a nice hot day and your face and nose are pretty oily, just go ahead and rub some oil on it. Before I get started, I will have to say I do agree with my wife. This hip bone is pretty stinky, but I think it was going to make a nice bearing block, so we're just going to put up with it. Okay, gonna adjust my notch here a little bit. I don't think it's wide enough. One thing I found though, it is pretty rocky here, so it is hard to find a nice level spot to do this on. Getting a lot of smoke and a lot of dust, but not a lot of it's falling down in there. I think I just need to clean out my notch a little bit more. Okay, I have a pretty good feeling about this one. Well, I think I got about one more try out of this. That bearing block wasn't working as well as I'd hoped. It gets hot pretty quick and it's hard to hold on to. But we'll see if we can still get this going. Thing has a nice groove in it for this, but it's just hard to hold on to. And it gets pretty hot quick. Looks like my wife might have been right. It may have been a waste of time keeping that bone, but it's the best thing I found out here. So here we go, our last try. Looks like that did not work out. So I guess what I'll do is I'll just show you a few clips, some other pretty cool stuff I saw while I was out here in South Dakota. So I guess better luck when I get back home to PA. Thanks for watching.
Hail South Dakota, a great state of the land. Health, wealth, and beauty, that's what makes her grand. She has her black hills and mines with gold so rare, and with her scenery no state can compare. Come where the sun shines and where life's worth your while. You won't be here long till you wear a smile. No state so healthy and state we love the best, land of our fathers, builders of the West, home of the Badlands and Rushmore's ageless shrine, black hills and prairies, farmland and sunshine, hills, farms and prairies, blessed with bright sunshine.